What is up, gentlemen, and welcome back to another episode on the channel. On today's episode, I'll be running you guys through the importance of competence in life. What does it mean to be competent? And why do we look up to people that are competent, that are leaders, that are leading the charge in any area of business and any area of life? We look up to people with competence because we take safety in the competence and the experience that they bring to the table. The same is true for these very same people that are projecting and displaying competence. Competence is the ability to know that when you're doing something or when you're about to do something, that you do it with mastery, with experience, you deliver on time, you deliver to standard, you deliver with exceptional quality. And competence is something that is rare. Competence is something that is rare, and this is what we want to discuss in today's episode, and why becoming competent at one thing in life, one core set of things, can be the springboard to allowing you to 10x your results in life. And I'll give you a personal experience of mine. I'm competent in the ability to design, develop, manufacture, and sell apparel. Over the last 7 years, I've been designing, developing, producing, and manufacturing apparel for thousands of brands all over the world. And I've built an entire agency with multiple sectors, thousands of customers, with over 20 different employees, all under this idea of competence. And I've been able to do this because I've done 3 main things that I'm going to be discussing on this episode. And the first thing I want to understand is why competence is so important. When I speak about anything, especially when it's related to the industry that I'm in, I speak from a position of authority. When I speak on my other channel, Fit Design TV, I'm able to speak because I know the subject matter inside out. You're not getting the idea of an imposter. You're not getting any incorrect information because I've spent the last 7 years studying, researching, practicing, experimenting, implementing all of the tips and tricks that I discuss on a day-to-day basis. And it comes off in the way that I present and in the subject matter itself. So competence gives you a self-assuredness that nothing else in life can give you. It gives you this foundation of cement that cannot be withered away by a single gust of wind. And this is the power of competence. It's not just being competent in the act itself. Competence seeps into other parts of your life, and this is why it is the cornerstone for everything you wish to build on top of it. In order to build up competence, you need one thing and one thing alone, which is focus. So many people lack the ability to build up any sort of mastery in any trade, in any skill, in any endeavor because they're not focused. The world is not designed in a way to allow you to focus on anything. There's so many distractions through social media. There's so many distractions through your friend circle. There's distraction through the news that are constantly pulling and tugging at your attention and not allowing you to dedicate yourself in a prolonged way to one thing. You're unable to dedicate yourself to one thing because it's hard to dedicate yourself to one thing. Most people, when they enter a new field or when they enter a new hobby or when they're starting to learn a new skill, there's a level of excitement by the novelty of this item to begin with. If you're learning fashion, you could have dreamt about learning fashion all your life and designing these beautiful dresses with all these extravagant fabrics and these beautiful colorways. But once you get into it, the illusion is shattered because you realize it's hard work, that you cannot get good at something, you cannot start to enjoy something without putting in that hard work, without going through those struggles of being and sucking at something for a long period of time. So most people, they hop between competence to competence to competence without truly achieving mastery in anything because they're unwilling to go through that hurdle and the hurdle that it takes to actually become proficient in one thing. Focus allows you to go deep into something. And when you go deep into something, you elevate yourself above the highest tier, the highest echelon of the society. Look at how many people might be interested in a specific field. If we're a population of 8 billion people, and let's just say there's 0.1% of the world that's interested in becoming a fashion designer, that's still a tremendous amount of people. So why are there not so many talented fashion designers out there that we know and hear of? The truth comes down to the majority of people are unwilling to do the work that is necessary to become insanely competent in this one area. And insane competence takes a variety of different scenarios. Not only does it take technical knowledge, it takes the implementation of this technical knowledge. It takes the ability to sell yourself within this frame. It takes the ability to work with others. It takes the ability to face setbacks. It takes the ability to manage your finances around that core competence. So there's so many moving parts to building up competence in one thing. Many people find themselves never being able to elevate themselves to this core ideal of competence that they might have dreamed of in the beginning when starting off any venture. So we've explained that mastery and competence in a specific domain are insanely rare. It's through that rarity that you create value for yourself in the market. You create a value for yourself in the business market, in the social market, in whatever market you may enter, because you become a rarity. The person who is extremely in tune with their skill set is someone that is unable to be found in other areas. So you become somewhat of a commodity. You're able to demand the price that you want. You're able to make the connections that you want. And when you speak about that subject, you speak from an area that is truly founded on pure experience and an undeniable stack of evidence of events, of accomplishments, and of actions that you've taken repeatedly over a prolonged period of time. I encourage you to become competent in one thing. If you're young, if you're a young 20-something-year-old, or even if you're 40 and you still haven't found yourself and you still haven't found your footing in this world, chances are you don't feel like you have a place because you don't feel like you've truly dedicated the time to one thing. Go all in on one thing and really evaluated all facets of that thing to become so fundamentally competent at it. You don't have that confidence that comes with knowing that you know your stuff, that you are able to focus on this one thing and become the best that there is, that when you walk into a room or when you walk into an avenue, that chances are there's no one in that space that can compete with you on that level. For me, I get that experience every time I walk into any sort of function where there is a design development aspect to it. I know that I've done the work and that I can hold my own in any conversation. Sure, there may still be people that are better than you. It's at those moments that there's a humility and a humbleness that needs to come out of you to know when to speak and when to be quiet. So how does one become competent? Well, there's a very famous book that references the idea that you need to pour in at least 10,000 hours into one specific thing in order to become a master at it. And this is where the idea that you need years and years and years in order to truly become competent at something. Because competency is not just knowing something. It's when it becomes a second part of you. When you could be referenced with a specific set of data or information and immediately your mind goes into work. And you're able to calculate all possible variables, all possible assumptions of that specific subject matter and make an educated decision that someone with the same technical knowledge wouldn't be able to make because it's not become an internalized part of themselves. So it's not only about knowing the raw data, but also having done it and processed it enough times. That way, the way that you process, the way that you deal with this data, the way that you deal with these actions becomes a second part of you, becomes a nature for you. The guitarist, the violinist, the expert pianist. These are not people who are just reading off notes off of the sheet and they're forcing themselves, right? It's become something that is a part of them. When they see the note, they feel the note. They're able to feel the notes as they play them through their fingers. And it is only through years and years of trial and error, going through the ups and downs, through the plateaus, through the difficulties, through the inability to make money, the inability to make a living off of something that you want to become competent in, that you eventually become super competent and you can rise to the standard that you want. And then when you walk, and then when you speak, and then when you meet, you are able to have that confidence, that lack of anxiety, that self-assuredness that comes with competency. So number one is pick one thing and focus on it. The better, the more niche it is, the better. Because if you're able to go into a niche, you're able to truly become an expert in this thing and to be a unique part or a unique factor in that industry. Two is give it time. Don't expect overnight results. Be willing to give it the time necessary that it deserves. Three, expect pain. Going into learning the guitar, expecting to be the next Lenny Kravitz overnight or over the period of even 1 year is impossible. It's not a realistic expectation. And if you set yourself up for those expectations, you're setting yourself up for extreme disappointment. Assume it's gonna take 10 years. Assume it's gonna take 20 years. Tell yourself that no matter what, I'm willing to be continuously dedicating myself to it day in and day out. 4, self-evaluate as you go along. In different parts of your journey, you're going to need a different frame of reference. So many people, so many entrepreneurs, when they get into business for the first time and they're dying to develop a core competency, they try to go in with an all-in mentality that says, oh, I'm just gonna go in and I'm gonna be an expert like everyone else and I'm going to make money the same as the highest business level people in this space. And that's just not a realistic expectation. Perhaps you start off with a learning period. You go in and you take some free clients. Maybe you reach out to people and you offer your work for free. You try to get into the weeds of the business and you try to get into the weeds of the competency so that at least you're dealing with other people within the frame of reference of this competency. It's one thing to design on your own, to design logos for yourself, but it's another thing to actually have someone else that is external to you, that is judging your work, whether it's paid or unpaid, and going through that process that strengthens you, that allows you to understand that sometimes doing the work alone is not enough. You need to be able to communicate it. You need to be able to understand someone else's opinion. And this gives you even further levels and nuances of competency that just doing that thing alone by yourself day in, day out may not give you. Last but not least is always challenge yourself. Competency also can breed complacency. When you feel that you have gotten to a level where you're good enough, where you're speaking from a position of authority, you're getting all of these positives, you're making some money, you may become complacent. You may look around and see no other competition, and you may feel the comfort, the false comfort that says, I'm the best and no one else will ever catch up to me, and I can just rest on my laurels and I can just keep doing what I'm doing. By continuously self-reflecting, by continuously understanding that where I am today, I need to push to the next level, and having that continuous drive to grow and to grow and to grow, even when you've achieved some level of mastery. This is truly where you go from the master to the undisputed master. And it's a philosophy that is not something that will end at the age of 40 or at 50. It's a philosophy that you carry on with you day in, day out till the day you die, whether you're the best at something or whether you're the worst or you're just starting off. The idea that your knowledge or your learning period ends at some point is completely false. Even 7 years into my business of something that I dedicate 12 to 16 hours a day to every single day since I was 21, I'm always learning something new. I'm always opening my ears when I'm speaking to other people from the industry, trying to learn, trying to grasp, trying to totally absorb every bit of information because I love what I do and I want to become better at it. And I understand that the more I learn, the more that I have yet to learn. It's through that humbleness that you're also able to evaluate your competency in a way that is balanced, and that gives it the best possible chance to go from that 0.01% to that 0.0001% of people. Well guys, that is it. Let me know if you agree. Are you and have you currently been working on becoming competent at something? If so, let me know what. Is it to become a better musician? Are you trying to start your own business? Are you a designer? I'm curious what competencies that you guys are most interested in and how you're going about doing it. If you guys enjoyed this episode, please consider subscribing to the channel if you haven't already. I create these content and these pieces from the heart, and I love to share this knowledge with you guys. Hopefully you guys are enjoying it as well. If you guys enjoyed this episode as well, consider smashing a massive thumbs up. It really does help us out and it keeps us motivated to keep pumping out this content for you. Until next time guys, stay awesome.